Hey everybody, Hawk here. We're going back into D&D again, and today we're talking about the Derro. Now, you may not actually be terribly familiar with the Derro. They're not a terribly common creature to be encountered unless you go running around in the Underdark. And most people don't go running around in the Underdark because most people are sane and don't want to die a horrible, painful death. Because everything in the Underdark sucks and wants you to die. Everything. Probably even the glowing mushrooms that are providing light for you. Now, what is a Derro? Well, a Derro is a humanoid somewhere between the height of about the height of a dwarf, believed to be a mixture of a dwarf and human by some sort of mad god. And they're very pale skinned, they have crazy Einstein hair, their eyes look very milky and white, but they can still see perfectly fine. And they are all completely and irrevocably insane. Completely, utterly nuts. Now, to compound the fact that they're all just nuts, they're filled with delusions of grandeur, they're sadistic, and they're all psychopaths. It's I'm amazed they function as a society, because apparently they're able to restrain that from murdering themselves. That's all of the sadisticness is all focused on everyone else. They actually really enjoy capturing surface dwellers, dragging them down into the dark, and then torturing them for days on end until they finally die. Why? Because they're assholes. That's it. They're just jerks. That's all there is to this. Now, they're particularly disturbing for the fact that they have a knack of being able to sneak into cities. They're very good at this. They just find a sewer system, tunnel their way up into it, and then they'll just nab people and then drag them off into the dark without the person ever knowing it, because the species is very good at using poison. It's an ingrained trait amongst them. So it's very common for them to use various types of poisons or paralytics or perhaps some sort of sleeping agents on you, and they're probably robust enough to take it themselves, or they'll just wear bandanas or something, or just not breathe into the room when they throw in a bunch of gas bombs. Now, compounding all of this is they have spell-like abilities. They are capable of summoning darkness at a whim. They can create basically flashbangs. It's more of just bangs, it's sound burst. They are incredibly stealthy. It's a match made in hell, is what they are. They're perfectly adapted for their chosen role. And their chosen role is capturing people and then selling them off as slaves to the drow, or to the draugr, or to any of the other denizens of the deeps, or to just take you back to their base and torture you for their own cruel, sadistic amusement. Now, the upsides to this is that the Derro, well, there's not a whole much else there. They're basically just a bunch of crazy, sadistic monsters that are basically just humanoids. So besides their basic tenets there, they don't have the ability of the draugr to swell themselves in size. They don't have the innate, I guess you could say, cultural instead of drow. Basically, they're not as united as the drow are. The drow, while they have all their crazy Venetian politic thing going on, they're far more united than the Derro are. The Derro are basically a bunch of raiders. On top of this, their own insanity has them go off on absolutely ridiculous quests. Like one could, for example, just go off trying to find very particular gemstones to create a magical device. Whether it's actually going to be a magical device or not won't work. One might just want to kill as many as Derro-ly possible of a specific species. Other such things. Derro savants will send other ones out on specific missions, and then they can go find other guys who are on the same mission, and they'll get together and go complete the mission together. Derro are all insane. I have to keep saying this because they're that crazy. It's a racial thing. They're utterly, completely nuts. So they'll do all sorts of weird crap that doesn't make any sense to us. Like one might have a goal of just stealing everyone's third spoon or something. It can be funny, but then it could be that the one needs to, every time someone offers to shake his hand, if you don't know what a Derro is, you might do it anyway, shake their hand, he needs to steal their kidney while they sleep. Or their firstborn child or something. That's the problem with Derro. It goes from being kind of comical levels of insanity, because sometimes it is, to the downright deeply disturbing as they sneak up through your basement and steal your children, or your dog, or drag you off into the darkness. And then they just kill you in whatever horrible, imaginative, insane fashion they can think of. And yes, I sound like I'm repeating myself, but I need to kind of drive that point home. They are screwed up. Basically, Freddy Krueger. He's probably a good example. Think of Freddy Krueger. He's utterly and completely psycho. He's also kind of corny and funny to watch. Well, it's kind of what the Derro do. They're kind of funny and corny to watch, but they're murderous intent. Horrible murderous intent. They particularly like killing humans. Why? No one really knows, but they particularly like torturing humans to death. And that's the thing. They hate surface dwellers. Absolutely despise them. So they want to do everything they can possibly do to ruin your day. Now, as an adventurer, what does that mean for you? You just go, well, I won't be in the Underdark. I'll be fine, right? Wrong. Where are you 90% of your time? You're in a dungeon. You're underground somewhere, typically. Or if you're not underground, you're usually far from civilization because you're off doing something. You're the commando squad. That is what adventurers wind up basically playing a similar role to. You are commandos. You're spec ops. You go off, you do dangerous missions in a small scale, small squad, and you get the job done. Well, Derro can show up anywhere. That's really the problem, because the Underdark is basically everywhere. If you are on solid Earth, the Underdark is below you eventually. Now, does this mean Derro can pop up literally anywhere? No, of course not, because sometimes you can't dig. Like, you're in a desert, they can't make a tunnel through sand. But if you're out into some place that looks suspiciously like medieval Britain, they can pop up anywhere they want. The ground's proper. There's good stable stone, good bedrock down there. They can tunnel up through the dirt, and they can do whatever they will. And if you're in a city like that, it can cause you more problems. But to you adventurers out there in the wastes, out there in some godforsaken ruin, for all you know, the Derro could have a tunnel already in here. And they could be sneaking in. You could be dealing with an entirely normal threat. You could be dealing with bandits who took over an old castle. And everything's hunky-dory and fine. Right up until you get shot in the back by a Derro with a paralytic dart, and they drag you off into the darkness. Now, how do you deal with this? Same way you deal with everything else. You just got to be aware of your surroundings, aware of the dangers around you, and carry antidotes. Carry antidotes with you, carry various things that will cure various debuffs on you. Basically, you just got to be prepared, like you always are. The thing is that Derro will ambush you when you least expect it. So you just got to be slightly more, if you think Derro are going to be a thing, maybe a little more paranoid. So other than that, you'd fight them the same way you'd fight a dwarf. Well, the same way you'd fight an insane dwarf. Because they're going to fight in a similar way. They'll wear armor, other than the poison and the crossbow thing, they'll fight like everything else. They'll take their swords out, they'll take their shields out, they'll fight you, they'll do some coordination. So just be aware of them. Be perfectly aware that the sword's probably poisoned. Be aware that they will take every opportunity to torture you. The upside of that is they might torture you in the middle of battle, which gives you more time to kill them. But don't ever let them catch you. Because if a Derro catches you, they're going to drag you off into the dark, they're going to chain you down, and they're going to torture you until you finally die. And it is going to suck, because it's a cultural thing to them. It's like barbecues to Americans. You just know how to do it, alright? But the upside is, you don't need anything really special to kill them. Normal sword to the face, axe to the face, boot to the head, magic, it all works. But on that note, hope you all enjoyed the video. Remember to like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell because it's YouTube and God only knows if you're actually getting these notifications. And as always, peace out.